So here we are at Mikulčice, which was a very large Slavic settlement. One that indeed had 12 separate churches within the space of about 30 hectares. And behind me is one of those churches. It's a small church, as you can see. Nothing huge. And it's aligned east-west, as many of these churches are. And there's an energy line passes right through the church, just here. So right through the church, straight down the church, and I find this repeated in all of the square oblong churches here. There are a couple of rotundas where what I find is an energy vortex within the centre of that rotunda, and the form of the building mimics the form of the energy centre. So this is called the 10th church, and I'm going to do some mapping of the energy lines today and periodically stop and make a little video to explain what I'm finding, what I'm doing and how it all looks.
Mikulčice is a major so-called hill fort type Slavic settlement that must have been a major location in the greater Morava of the 9th century seen in this map. Indeed, the Morava River Valley was a veritable hive of activity at that time. We started this brief tour at Church 10. The signage at the site shows a reconstruction of what the church looked like, along with some archaeological details of the graves located around the church. A lot of emphasis is also placed on the saints Cyril and Methodius, who are credited with Christianizing the Slavs of this region, although in truth Christianity was probably already here to a limited degree, brought by Irish and Scottish monks. The area is covered in grasses and wildflowers at this time of the year, with only small pathways cut through the growth to allow exploration of the site. This does make dowsing a bit tricky. There is also a visitors centre, lookout tower offering panoramic views, and a museum on the site.
So I'm just mapping one of the lines across from that church, and it comes under this beautiful group of oak trees here, which is ideal because the oak tree was special to the god Brno, and meditating under an oak tree is said to be a pretty good thing to do, so I'm going to give it a shot and then resume my mapping activities. Sorry about the hair, it's a bit windy, as you might hear. Beautiful day, but windy. Listen to that bird. It's an incredibly beautiful spot, it really is. Magnificent.
The Mikulčice site is also frequented by very large storks that can often be seen flying thermals or buzzing the visiting tourists. Here we can see the mound that is the defensive wall of part of the settlement, the core of the settlement in fact, with the main buildings located in it. Again, you can see lots of wild flowers and lush grasses. In various locations, signs are posted to help you get a feel for the site. These are reconstructions done on a sort of translucent glass, giving the impression that you're looking back through time. Here we see the main part of the settlement reconstructed, and next, Church 9. I wanted to visit Church 9, a rotunda located away from the main complex and visualised here. To get there you have to cross a bit of the Morava River, and this is sort of how the site would have been, as each part of the settlement was built on an island within the meandering river for defensive reasons. What I discovered here was that there were no energy lines but a single energy vortex in the centre of the Rotunda Church. I mapped this vortex as having 4 petal shapes and realised that the interior walls of the rotunda matched that design. Did the Slavs do that deliberately? From there, it was back to the path through the beautiful tall oaks to yet another peripheral rotunda church, mapping energy lines along the way and taking time to peer back in time at how the place may well have looked.
Amazing, beautiful footpath going through lots of oak trees. Absolutely tremendous, isn't it? Birds singing, beautiful day. What more could you ask for? Well, I'm now here at one of the Rotunda churches, and I'm a little bit puzzled because I found multiple almost parallel energy lines, and even though last time I didn't see anything necessarily here except a vortex, I do now find an energy line passing through the center of this rotunda with a vortex in the center, which mimics the shape of the church building, which as you can see is a sort of double figure of 8, and the energy line kind of goes off that way straight through the middle of the church and into the forest here behind me. So this is really getting very complicated, and it's going to take a lot more work than perhaps I'd first thought. Good stuff.
The settlement also features what would have been quite a large church at its centre. Here I found multiple energy lines crossing, and the atmosphere standing inside that church, inside the church walls, was quite something. So far, this is the only church that I've found with multiple energy lines crossing through it. Meanwhile, the storks put on a bit of a show. I finished this phase of mapping by going out to a Rotunda Church furthest away from the centre. A reconstruction shows what this may have looked like. Here I found another energy vortex in the very centre of that structure, and I ended up sitting under this rather magnificent oak tree, meditating on what I'd seen and experienced that day. One of the churches is inside a museum structure, and here you can see graves and reconstructions as well as some of the items found at the site. Well, my work here continues, and I will need to spend much more time to complete the dowsing and mapping of the earth energies, or rivers of light as I believe the Slavs may have called them. Thank you for joining me. Please do like this video and share it. Thank you.